The last 5% of what you do in a guitar build is the first thing that anybody else sees. And the fact that this instrument is being built for and is owned by my daughter just makes it even more important that I go all out with the final finish. Now, this isn't to everybody's taste, the hex holes, the whole thing, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is the final result needs to have as much of my heart and soul as is humanly possible. Wow. That was a little bit cheesy. Anyway, what should we do with it?
Burn it.
Ah, yay! These holes have been filled with pink stain onto a rough surface. I didn't want to spend hours upon hours sanding inside of these holes, or minutes and minutes making a custom tool to do the same thing. But at this stage, I'm now going to spend hours and hours creating either a texture, or should we just smooth the whole thing? I'll find out in about 5 seconds. So the pink looks a little bit dirty, unfortunately. Due to the texture, due to, well, a number of factors, it just doesn't work. If it's gonna be pink, it needs to be bright, super bright pink. No texture, forget the texture. I want perfection. I want soft and shiny and glossy and gold. And is that the opposite of what I said at the beginning? Oh well. I'm gonna use a multi-tool, a Dremel multi-tool with a small wire brush to get rid of the current stain. It's also gonna split out the grain a little bit inside of these holes. If I go in with a rasp or a chisel or something like that, I'm gonna create a texture that is antithetical to the geometric nature of what I am working in. That was a good sentence. Well done, Ben. So yeah, let's clean up some cavities, shall we? If we're going more precise, we need to be more precise. Some of these hex patterns are not quite where I need them to be, so let's do some tidying up, shall we? Well, that's better. At this stage, I'm going to take it into the spray booth and apply an undercoat. There's going to be a tad more sanding down and prep before we get to the final coats. But, you know, when have I not overcomplicated my life? Just prior to spraying, I have one final job to do. There's a bunch of holes in the back of this guitar, those tiny little holes, and I'm gonna have to fill them. So, on with that then. Yes. Toothpickaroonies. Bit of accelerated fun, and then it's onto the chisel. By the chisel, I mean the chisel. Actually, no. Here we go. Cranked chisel, much easier. I'm in a bit of a rush to get this guitar done, and our suppliers do not have any of the proper primer in stock and can't get it to us quick enough. Therefore, I'm just going to use some rattle-cans, which is an interesting process in and of itself. All right, let's go through, shall we? Okay, so the primer is not filling in some cases where there's lots of end grain. I am going to use some Starbond thick superglue. Well, that was a bit of a process. I'm back home to rub this down, but I thought it would be good to, well, see how much weight we have added so far. It was 4 pounds and a few ounces. Where are we? Putting on the back of this battery pack. I don't know why. 4 pounds 8 ounces. Oh, it's now 3 pounds 12 ounces, so got it. Okay, no, fine. It went down to 3 pounds and 11 ounces after this, so we've added an ounce, essentially, of material. I should probably be talking in metric, but at this stage I started in ounces. Let's go to metric from now on. It is 1.714 kilograms. Much more precise. 1.714 kgs. Let us see how much more is added through the paint and the lacquer process, because this stuff does add weight. Anyhow, at this stage, I'm going to rub it down, flatten it, prepare the surface so that I can apply the black and then the flip-flop paint, and then the gold leaf and the lacquer and all of that stuff. So I'm going to remove a little bit of weight. This is the other part of this build, and while the tuners are really heavy, in fact, we'll weigh these in a second, I'm not worried about neck dive. All we've done is take enough material away from the body to turn it into a normal guitar rather than a really heavy guitar. I mean, we can make it a little bit lighter and it wouldn't hurt. So let's do that then. I forgot to weigh them, didn't I? Oh, there we go. Plus some screws, 210 grams. It's, well, it's actually quite a lot. 7 ounces. I'm going to cut my Crimson Guitars logo all the way through. Or better yet, my personal sigil. Yeah, or both. Maybe both. I've made up my mind. Sometimes I go off-piste. All the time I go off-piste because I think, hey, that will make a cool video or a cool process. Not necessarily, hey, this is best for the guitar. What's best for this guitar is for me not to cut a hole in the headstock. Here's the line of thought. I went, people are saying I should reduce the weight in the headstock because of neck dive. I'm not worried about neck dive. But hey, let's cut a hole in the neck anyway, in the headstock. Should I drill a bunch of holes to match the body? No, the shape really isn't there, and holes moving along the center line, such as the holes on the body, would look off because you've already got tuners, and it would just look strange and weird. So let's not do that. Why don't we just make it a hollow headstock? That doesn't really work with the shape of the guitar. Let's cut a logo. And I'm now coming right back to forget it. I am going to make a nice steel or aluminium logo, and I'm going to apply it to the front of the headstock after we have put the finish on. Much like I did with Nebula. Yeah. Shiny, metallic, modern, cool, goes with the whole shiny, metallic, modern, cool kind of feel of the rest of the guitar, as long as you think it's cool. And there we go. So, done. I'm going to prepare this neck to go into the spray booth with the body and with that. You've got to make sure that the edges are nicely rounded over when you're spraying lacquer, otherwise that's a weak point. This will do though. We lost a little bit of footage, but I've come in and we sprayed just an undercoat of purple
on the neck as well. So much fun. And before the final coat of finish goes on, I just want to clear these edges up and put the masking tape just a tad over that way. And then essentially what we're doing is the coat of the flip-flop is going to fit over the edge of this paint, and then the lacquer is going to go over the whole thing. It's a little bit more time consuming, but is necessary.
Well, that's curing. Let us get on with the Scratchplate. Now, it's a beautiful Amboina burl, something like that, and it makes me think of high-end Jaguar cars and beautiful things like that, but it doesn't suit this guitar anymore. So while that finish is curing, the finishing process is a long one. While that finish is curing, I'm going to play with what's in here. Fairly thin. I think I've gone for a 1.5mm carbon fiber chunk, and it's a gloss on both sides. Now I could have gone for thicker, but weight is something we need to think about. So this scratch plate does not match the template I've got. So I'm going to have to use the original scratch plate as the template. Based on the fact that the guitar has currently got a bunch of holes in it fitting this scratch plate, I'm going to have to take all of this stuff off and then use this as the template. It's remarkably difficult gluing this particular wood together, and I probably should have used something else like fabric or a bit of paper or something underneath, actually glued to the whole back of the joint. That would have kept it together. It's all to do with the natural oils inside the wood. Now, a way to get rid of that is to, prior to gluing it, use naphtha or acetone or something like that to basically bleach all of the oils out, and then you'll get a good joint. It's not something that I have had to do many times. So anyway, let's tape this back together. We're all good. We have a template. So carbon fiber has a grain, and I want to both maximize what I've got, but also have the grain doing something attractive. If you do it there, you've got the big wide lines. That's got a crosshatch. It's also exactly the right size. Like, I have got not very much room to spare. In order to make the most out of this material, I could get 3 scratch plates out of it. But if that isn't the best use of the pattern, if the instrument is going to struggle as a result of that, or suffer visually, don't do it. Now, if I was using the template, then I would be tempted to rough cut this out by hand, either using a jeweler's saw or a Dremel with a cutting disc on it, something like that. And then I would finalize the whole thing over on the router table. Bear in mind, carbon fiber is nasty stuff to breathe in, so wear a mask. This is not exactly right. We were not making templates at Crimson. We were not making templates in the way we do now at Crimson. And I just copied a plastic scratch plate, I seem to recall. Okay, masking tape is my center line. I'm lining it up to be nice with that. Got my center line marked on there. We're good to go. Now, if I can do away with the need for the pickup ring, I will. I'm not sure if I like the look of it. I'm not sure if I'm going to like the look of it. We might. We'll see. So the trick here is to try and keep your saw as vertical as possible, the blade at least as vertical as possible, constant forward momentum, and just be gentle with it. If you have to force it, it's not ideal.
course, you always will break a blade. My most used tool of all time, I think. Okay, so that was a fairly tough blade, creating fairly large carbon fibre particles. I'm now going to start filing and sanding, and I will put my mask on. I'm gonna have to do something to prettify that up. We've got the slugs here, so I can't really put a foil or a mesh or something there, but at the very least we can clean it. Now, I'm gonna drill some holes. Cool. All right, that'll do. I'm not going to use the switching system. This is an individual pickup, but there was a cool switch thing that we did, and frankly, it's not required. Volume, tone, one humbucker, and we're done. And that means that I can move the volume and tone further away, and it'd just be a little bit more ergonomic for Jasmine. So, well, I'm going to desolder the pickup, and should we install that then, shall we? All right, there we go. The rest of this, I'm just going to scrap. Okay. Suppose we need to peel this off the back, don't we? Oh, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, okay. Very cool. I don't like this. Standard screwdriver. Let's go shopping. First of all, Winton fasteners. This is what I need. These guys have everything.
there's a quick one.
Stainless steel M3. Every time I go in there, I end up buying a whole bunch more stuff than what's actually required. But you know, it'll come in useful one day. That was fun. So picked up a bunch of M3 machine screws and things, socket headed, socket capped for both Jasmine's guitar and also the live stream build bomber fret. So yeah, that should be fun.
I wonder if I can take out the slugs in this as well. Let's see. Different size, I'd say. I don't know, maybe not. These are standard M3 socket head bolts, but they're not particularly pretty. There's writing around the edge. I'm going to put these in the lathe quickly, polish them off, and then we'll get them in there. Because why not? I could not find the right size, I think the M2.5 for this, so I'm just going to tap out the pickup to an M3, which is easy enough. All right, so that's pretty much it. I'm not entirely sure if those slugs are magnetic enough to sound good. I might have to do all of that again, but we'll see after the end, I suppose. We're there. To answer your question, yes, this is carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is 95% carbon, and it is going to be shielding the RF interference, etc. So, or at least I think it is. That's another thing I'm 95% sure of. I want to check. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. There are always people in there who know more than I do. I feel like this episode has been somewhat long and boring. Finishing is boring. Wiring is boring. Even making carbon fiber scratch plates can be a little bit boring. In the next episode, you're going to see this guitar fully rubbed down and as shiny as I can humanly make it. Fingers crossed I don't sand through at any point. We'll see. I am going to put the guitar together. I'm going to install the scratch plate. In fact, we're going to install the scratch plate now. Why not? Just to see what it's going to look like. And we're going to string her up. I think that I need a standalone episode. Oh, all right. I like that. I think we need a standalone episode for this because while we were at the fastener place, you saw me buy these two M12. They are absolutely gorgeous. They need to be control knobs, and it's going to be a very in-depth kind of a thing. So I'm going to do that as a standalone video because it just makes sense. It needs to be much better finished, and I'm going to have to fill that in and install the pots and all that jazz. But that is that. The other issue is that I need to fit this scratch plate, and well, that's going to be fun. First of all, I've made a mistake. Those two holes, they don't go anywhere. So I'm going to have to install a bolt with a nut behind it in those two places. Oh well. I'm also, well, let's do that quickly just before we get to the finishing. If you're not going to be taking the bolt out, sorry, my phone is still on, all the time, it is entirely possible to tap wood. And if you've got a long enough bolt, it'll be perfectly fine. And that's what I'm going to do here. I don't want to install threaded inserts or anything like that. I want to have nice bolts holding it together. I already have a hole. So I'm going to put the drill in reverse, and then when I'm away from the top, then I can go in and grab. And then it's simply a case of trying to hold that fairly square until it takes. Now, if I'm not happy with how that is holding, bear in mind this is ash, I can flood it with some thin super glue and then re-tap it, and that will be certainly strong enough. And that is why I've done one rather than drilling all of them. Make sure the drill's the right size, make sure that it taps nice and easily, make sure things aren't going to tear out, and then you go all in. Tiny little socket-headed ones, 10mm, M3. Perfectly fine. Let's do the rest, and then we'll put the scratch plate on just so we can see what she's going to look like in the end. Bit of a teaser. I'm so happy with this. We're not quite there. I'm not going to put all of them in. There's a bridge. The bridge needs cleaning. The guitar needs to be rubbed down and flattened and polished and all that jazz. But, well, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. We're going to be silver leafing the inside of all of those hex pieces. And we have to finish this project soon. We do. Please click like, subscribe, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you think. And most importantly, well, I don't know, go and build a guitar or something. Leave me alone. Goodbye.